Hello, fellas. Break time. And guess what? I wanted to do a sunshine video so bad today, but no sun. Today it's dark, cloudy, gloomy, and cold. So we just have to go with what we got, right? Uh-oh. She almost pulled me over. We got like a 3-hour break today. Thank goodness we're getting a little bit of a break. And it's a much needed one, especially since it's only a couple of days in to the 7 days on. But, you know, it's we're following deer trails. See that? We were looking for that spot. I don't see any. I see now that they've dug across the road, but I think they just had it wrong maybe. And it wasn't this area, but it's okay. At least, you know, I know now that I don't have to rush. Like, they're not going to start building yet on this side. Anyway, guys, there's something I want to talk about. I haven't talked about this stuff really. I mean, little bits here and there, but not like really talked about it. And I want to use a case to spread the awareness, right? It's something that I feel needs to be spread because I watched a clip last night. Well, this morning around 5 o'clock, about some body cam footage that was released. And this case, it really did touch America's hearts, and in a lot of ways. This really generated the true crime world to a full-blown true crime world, this case. And she was from New York and had moved with her fiance to Florida, which I think y'all know where I'm going with this, right? This is what I wanted to use this video for. It's to spread awareness about domestic violence, trigger warning. And there's so many ways to get help out there that, you know, when I saw this clip, which I had never really watched it much before, like not the body cam footage of Gabby Petito. And you talk about need Kleenex. Oh my gosh. And that body cam footage and the way that officer explained and nailed it to the T, and what usually happens in these cases, take the advice from that officer. Because what a hero to say that. You know, he says, I've seen these before. And it usually ends up with a bad outcome. And in Gabby Petito's case, that's exactly what it did. And it's so heartbreaking to know that she had not reached out to anyone before about it. And God bless her parents to have to witness that. It's known that that's the last footage of their child before that evil monster did what he did. There's a few things coming out now because of the documentary, and basically that something was said to the words of that she was basically had enough, I guess, of arguing, fighting, bickering, whatever, and enough of everything. That supposedly, I think she was breaking up with them or something right then and there where they were, or something like that, after the law enforcement and stuff. Maybe that was the final straw for her. And he couldn't handle that. You know, there's a reason why I want to talk about domestic violence, is because there's different forms of domestic violence. Because to me, CPS is also a form of domestic violence. And a lot of the cases that we cover, Maddie Soto, to me, that was basically domestic violence in a way of someone snapped, right? And that was it. But there had to have been red flags before. We know what was going on before. So although it's a little bit different, it's still, the outcome was the same. We know Suzanne Simpson, the one we searched for a lot, we know that was domestic violence. She had enough. She was getting away. She just didn't take the proper steps to reach out for help before she tried to leave. and Nikki McCann. She had basically left, had been gone for 2 months. So the only way he got Nikki McCann to that house was to have his buddy go get her from his mother's. And we know that now. So it was, even after 2 months of her being gone from home, he could not bear it, right? And in his case, she had stepped up. She had made the police report. She was filing charges against him. So he had come to the point to where he was going to go to jail if she didn't vanish. So that's why everyone knows Nikki McCann vanished because of Tyler. And I think everybody's pretty much clear on that. And I'm pretty much sure that the law enforcement probably thinks the same thing. Although she has not been found, which is heartbreaking as heck. Just like Suzanne Simpson has not been found, heartbreaking. And if you get, what I'm trying to explain is take the Suzanne Simpson case for interest. I'm so sorry, it's cold. Take that case, basically, and look at it. We know now that he used a saw. Like, that is pure evil. So you can't tell me that these people are in love with these people. It's something different. I don't know what's in their brain. But for a husband to do that to a wife of 20 plus years, he didn't love her at all. If he loved her, he could have never done that. Because if you truly love your spouse, you can't lay a hand on them. You want them protected all the time. Right? And even take the Sebastian Rogers case, guys. That's another case that captured America's hearts. In a way, it is domestic abuse. It is. It is a form of domestic violence. Because he was being made wear diapers. He was being made fun of. He was being hit with a belt, and no telling what else. The DCS, which it's not CPS in Tennessee or whatever, it's DCS, I think is what they call it. Like, in a case of a child, it should have been way more. Like, he should have been in jail after the second time. I know the first time is, I think, when they try to figure it out. But when you give them a second time, it gets worse. And then when they get away with it a second time, it gets worse on the third time. And then to know that, tell me if this is not considered abuse to y'all when Katie Proudfoot allowed a convicted SA offender on 99 years of probation, if that's correct, to talk to her son on FaceTime and to be around him in California before they even moved to Hendersonville. And we know now that it's proof of it because there's police records. A police report was filed. Seth did a willingness check. He knew that there was supposed to be people, he knew that Sebastian was around people that he shouldn't be around. And the mother was allowing it. So even back then, when Chris had just barely came into her life, she was doing this. So I'm kind of going back on some of the things now that was said, that she put in that thing when she filed against Seth for the divorce and say about he did this to Sebastian that. I'm wondering now if it was really her doing it and she was just blaming it on him. Because that's more like what it's adding up to. And it's, not to get off of Gabby Petito, but I wanted to use her because this young girl whole life was ahead of her. She was a YouTuber, a TikToker, van life. She was a blogger. She was going, right? She was building her career, building her life. And I know, just from looking at some of the past things that she put out, she would have really rose to the top. She would have. She might have been just like Nancy Grace, the queen of true crime, but only in van life. Like, and not to say everyone is perfect, but if she would have just known, if there would have been more awareness, more red flags thrown out here by people to spread awareness, stronger awareness. Like, her family's doing everything in their power to spread awareness. They're even searching for missing. They're doing a lot in her name. And I know in their head they're thinking, why didn't we see these things? But sometimes you don't, because they're behind closed doors. And like the Maddie Soto case, that was all behind closed doors. But yet it was going on around all those family members that none of them did anything about it. None of them did a willingness check. None of them ever did anything like that. At least Sebastian Rogers' teachers were calling for him. So cold, guys. I'm freezing. But it's so hard. Like, if y'all have not watched that body cam footage in the Gabby Petito case, please go watch it. Because I know that my audience is about 89% female. And I know y'all all probably have grandkids, kids, daughters, you know. Red flags sometimes are hard to spot. But if you ever have any hunch at all, act on it. Act on the hunch. Because a lot of times our gut will tell us a lot if we just listen. And I know you might be worried, well, I don't want to mess up their marriage. That doesn't matter. Because if you don't and you sense it, or you feel it, or you see little things, and you don't bring awareness to it, it's going to end up like Gabby Petito, like Nikki McCann, like Suzanne Simpson, like Anna Knezevich. I think Nicole Bully. I think there's a lot of these. I mean, the majority of what we talk about has to do with some form of violence that's put on people by evil people. And I wanted to honor Gabby Petito by doing this video. I feel like to bring a positive light to this situation, that usually 9 times out of 10, it's usually a female that's it's being done to, right? I know there is cases that males do it does happen to. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is sometimes the cry for help is in a different form. It's in a different way of expression that sometimes we don't pick up on. And, you know, there's a lot of hand signs out there now. There's a lot of things that you can do. So if you ever see someone holding up these, I'm going to post them on the thumbnail. These signs, I'm going to post a number on the thumbnail. And anybody that ever has a sense, a gut feeling, anything that you think could be some form of this, please reach out. It definitely can save a life. And that's what it's about. That's what it's for, to save lives. If y'all only knew how many battered women's shelters are around the world, full of people. This happens way more than we know. And if we don't spread awareness as much as we can, we're going to start seeing more and more of these, which really 2024 was a year for a really high number of them that are in the true crime world right now. And that goes to show you that most likely they didn't survive it. And it's all because maybe somebody that saw something didn't say something. Maybe that one little gut feeling you had you didn't act on. So, I'm begging everyone out there, don't allow one of your family members, daughters, children, nieces, granddaughters, to end up like Gabby Petito. Because it happens a lot more than we know. So I wanted to take a little time to do this today. I know it's different than what I normally cover, but you know, when I take notes of all the cases that we do and I go back and I look at all of them and I'm thinking, this is all a form of violence. It's heartbreaking. I mean, I even feel the Sebastian Rogers case, the Summer Wells case, all these cases are some form of it. Some form of either CPS, DCS, whatever it's called, you know, in different states. It's all the same. And a lot of people say, well, CPS is overloaded. Yeah, they're overloaded because there's so much of it. And I'm not saying that every case that gets called into them is correct. I understand some kids sometimes get upset or get mad and they say things they don't mean. And they use that number and they call it. But you still have to investigate every one because you never know if it's truthful. And if Suzanne Simpson would have just reached out, if Nikki McCann would have just reached out, if little Maddie Soto would have just reached out, we know Sebastian Rogers was reaching out. He didn't get the help he needed. And I think, you know why I think it is? I think they use his autism and saying, no, he's not that smart, he's not this, he's not that, he's not sociable. They were throwing all these things out there probably because that's what they were telling the CPS workers. That he just doesn't like to be in trouble. That, Sebastian, one thing you learn is there's no proof that he was a liar. None. There's zero proof that this young man was a fib teller, right? We don't have any proof of that whatsoever. And in the Gabby Petito case, watching that footage of her, basically, him too, because what was he doing when he first got pulled over, right? Sorry. That's all he was saying. That's their defense mechanism. And then what was her saying? Oh, I get mad sometimes. I do have a temper. I wanted my van clean. Okay, we know that she had put her heart and soul into that van. That was like her home. So to her, when she was locked out of that, of course it's going to upset her. But the way he was doing it is he was egging her on. Right? Because that's what abusers do. He was telling her she was worthless. He was telling her she wasn't going to make it. He was telling her all these things because he didn't want her to succeed. Because why? Because then if she succeeded, he couldn't control her. Right? And that's kind of like I look at some of these other cases. And for instance, say Maddie Soto was pregnant. They couldn't control her anymore. Right? So that's why I say it's a part of this. And the way that she was unalived is a violent way. I mean a violent way. The way Gabby Petito was unalived, a violent way. A rage and anger. I think, I'm sorry I say this, but I feel that the violence and anger came out on Sebastian Rogers as well. Just like Suzanne Simpson, Nikki McCann, all these cases, Anna Knezevich, all these cases are all tied to some way or shape or form of a violence. Because look at how it ended for all of them. And all it is a phone call away to try to get help. If you call one of these phone numbers out there and tell them, I am fearful for my life, they're going to send an officer directly to where you are. Now, pray to God it's fast enough and you didn't wait long enough to make the call. But, they will do their best to help. It's becoming a very powerful way of helping people that are abused. Ruby, we could pull on yourself like that. And so to me, please guys, utilize it. Utilize the help that is out there. All y'all women that are being abused, utilize the help that is out there. I know you're scared. I know you're worried. Some of you have kids. You might be worried that your kids are they're not going to take children from a mother. Don't let them threaten you in that way. I know that's a phrase used a lot by men that want to dominate their wives. I'll take the kids. You won't get nothing. You're not working. You don't have a job. You don't have no money. You can't do nothing. Bullcorn. Yes, you can. See, mother them children, and that judge is not going to overrule that. Especially not when she's the one calling on you or on them. So, I wanted to spend a little time on my break to talk about this because I feel that it's something that really, 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 really needs to be talked about a lot more than it is. A lot more. Because watching that and having to see what Gabby Petito was going through and how she was trying to defend him and throw everything on herself like that, it's truly heartbreaking. She was shielding him by her pain. She was shielding him by what she was going through, when maybe she didn't know help existed. She was just 22 years old. Her life was just getting started. And the red flags had to have been there way before this trip. And, you know, if for some reason it would have been different yet, somebody would have saw a red flag. And you know what's so sad is, and I have a feeling that they saw every red flag that was out there, was Brian Landry's parents, or Landry's parents. Because I still believe they're involved in all this, helping him do everything he did after. I think they knew, burn after reading notes and all these things, the firearm, the everything. I think they knew every single thing. I think he panicked as soon as it happened and called his mama, because he's a mama's little boy. Just like Christopher Proudfoot is a mama's little boy. And for them to protect him in the way they did, they should be locked up. I agree with the family 100%. They should really be locked up. And for them to lead them, all the manpower, all the searching, all the money spent searching for a worthless piece of scum, in my opinion, allegedly. It, trigger warning, times 100 million. And they went straight to him. Tell me they didn't know. They knew. I bet you they had been there before. Somehow, some way, they had probably been there before. And they told him he went for a hike. They knew where he went. They knew all that. And then to take him to another place, camping and all that before it happened, that was all part of the cover-up. And what's crazy is they basically, I'm so glad people picking it outside that house. I wish they would have done more. I wish they were still picking it outside their home right now. Still saying justice for Gabby. They still need to be doing it, because justice wasn't done. He took the coward way out, and the family got nothing done to them but a slap on the hand. And who did he run to, right? Who did he run to? He ran to them. And the crazy thing is that they would have covered for him for as long as it took. I think that he came down on them. I think they said, he knows what happened. We know he knows what happened. He drove that van back without her. Y'all are all going down, and I think that's when they said, oh, we'll take you to where he is. It would not surprise me. Do I think they did a wonderful job in this case? No. It was a YouTuber that really led them to where Gabby was. Or a van life person, or whatever it was, some kind of person like that, a TikToker or whatever it was. But someone of that nature of what we do here, spreading awareness, is the one that said, hey, I seen that van. And thank God for that person. Just like, you know, that police officer that tried his best. But they're adults at 22. That's why I think even he saw it. In the little bit of time he was there, he saw it. And he called it straight out. This goes on, this goes on, this goes on. It gets worse, worse, worse. And then they're found unalive. And that's, I'm sorry to say, but exactly what happened. And even the parents said that in their interview. That police officer was 100% correct. He nailed it. What did he say? He hit the nail on the head. And so I hope that everybody keeps Gabby's face out there. Because when they see, everybody that sees her face should know that there's a number to call. There's a way to reach out. There's someone to help you. So I feel that the Gabby Petito and the foundations and the things that her parents are doing to bring awareness and to bring help and to do, they're doing a wonderful job of it. But look what they had to go through beforehand. Had to lose their 22-year-old angel to a man that was an abuser. that wanted to control Gabby's life. His family had money. He used that as a tool. And that's what didn't make sense to me, is as much money as his family has, why in God's name did he use her credit cards? Which, that's really what got the charges filed in the beginning, so thank God for it. But, it's just, God, you just wish you could go back in time a little bit, right? And maybe someone that saw a red flag somewhere that was around her, whether it worked with her or whatever, right, would have said, hey, I think you're making a bad decision. Or would have picked up the phone and called and said, you know what? This is my friend, and I see some really bad red flags. And then maybe, you never know what it could have done. It could have helped. It might not have helped. But you know what? You got to try. Because if we don't try, we never get anywhere, right? So I'm just wanting to reach out to all that are being treated this way. Please make the call. Get help. It's only a phone call. It's only a phone call. And if you have children, please don't hesitate whatsoever. And I mean, if you're single, you can always pack up when he's gone at work and just get the hell out. I've known a lot of people that have done that. And I just want to say, that it's truly heartbreaking to think about everything that's gone on and that went on. I mean, in that particular case, Gabby Petito. That's God. If she could have just had somebody saying, "No," right? Like a friend, somebody. And why didn't his parents speak up and be like, "Hey, that's not how you treat someone," right? No, if you love someone, you don't treat them that way. That's why I've always said I felt like, Sebastian's parents, other than Bio Dad, they didn't care about that child. He was in the way to them. He was causing problems for them. But not really. They were causing the problems. They were bringing them on themselves. By the way, they were abusing that child. It's liable to end up being another one, just like Gabby Petito. But only this would be a mother and a stepfather. That's why I say, always call. We know now Seth's mother had known some things. She should have called. I'm not trying to harp or be mean. I'm just saying that phone call would have made a difference. And I don't know if she did. That may be one of the cases. I don't know. But all it takes is to pick up the phone. My God, nowadays everybody has a phone in their pocket all the time. It's I don't know. It's just heartbreaking to think about. And I do want to talk a little more about Gabby when I get off. Maybe tomorrow, next day, Sunday. I don't know. We got Maddie Soto's birthday tomorrow. I really got to do. I'm going to do something special for her birthday. And there's a lot of cases to cover. There's another case now about the little 17-year-old missing in Sammy, I think, missing in Hawaii. But I was going to bring that case up, but now that we know her and her boyfriend had gone down to a beach in Honolulu to go for after a night swim or whatever, and they'd vanished, but their car was there, their belongings were there. And just a little while ago, just recently, not too far back, they found him offshore. So I'm guessing out in the water and DNA matched. So I'm assuming they were probably in the water and something bad happened, either a rip current, a tide. There's a lot of tiger sharks in Hawaii. There's no telling what could have been or what could have happened. I don't know. But that was one of the things, is they put out a $50,000 reward, I think yesterday, day before, something like that, for information, because they haven't found their daughter yet. She's 17. And neither one of them took their belongings. Neither one of them took the car. So I feel that they're probably both out in the water and something bad happened. And It's heartbreaking. It is. That's why you don't do night swims. I don't care if you live in Hawaii or not. But there's too much danger lately. The tiger sharks are getting really bad in Hawaii, and they're warning everybody. I've seen a lot of stories. That guy that had been diving there for 20 years, he got attacked. It's just so many every year in Hawaii. Look at them. There's a lot of shark attacks there, trigger warning, in Hawaii now, especially off Honolulu. And that's why you just don't go swimming at night. You know, that's when they feed. You don't go out there at dark. You just don't. But, you know, I'm gonna dig a little more on it when I get in and see if there's something more that looks like it could be suspicious. The only thing that really rose suspicious to me on this little case, for the Hawaii case of the 2 teenagers, is that the $50,000 reward. So, you know, I know there's always a possibility that someone could have came up on them on the beach and kidnapped her and threw him in the water. I know that's a possibility. So that's one thing I want to really dig into to see. And now that is really, and I think it's really a chance that did happen, then yes, we're going to dig into this for sure, because this is a 17-year-old. And she did not, you know, she deserves to be found no matter what. But I need to do some digging on it before I really discuss it. I don't have a lot on it. I did read a little bit on it earlier today about, you know, them putting out the $50,000 reward and things like that, and that they had found the little boyfriend, Joey, I think was his name. I think it was Joey. And they did find him floating, I think, out offshore somewhere. So they were able to positively, with DNA, match that it was him. And I don't think it was all of him they found. I think it was some of the tissue and some of him. That's why I'm thinking it may have been a shark attack. But then again, it could be an homicide. I don't know. I mean, you think about it. If you commit a homicide in knee-deep water, you're not going to leave any evidence anywhere. You know, and then it is kind of, you would think they would have been found together, but then again, tides and things like that do change. So it could be that it was differently, but I do want to dig on it. I will. You know, it's sad. It's heartbreaking. The parents, when you don't know where your child is, you know the last thing they did was go for a night swim, but you don't know where she is, and he's now been found. It does throw a few red flags out there. It really does. I got to admit it. So I'll look into that one. I'm going to look into the Jordan case out of Canada. There's another one that the woman in Alaska that's missing right now, that was last seen at that little bar with all those gold mine guys that kind of fly in and fly out of Nome. And she was nothing of, Nancy Grace covered it a couple of days ago. She was nothing of, she hasn't been found, but her socks, shoes, and another item was found. And they're thinking that it was these traveling gold miners or whatever. I think that's what Nancy Grace thinks happened. So I want to get in on that one. She's a mother, I think, of 2 or 3 children. And she had been in an argument with her sister, left her sister's work and walked, and was last seen at this little, there's only one little place in Nome, and it's like, it's like a little, like grocery store bar type thing, I think is what they were saying. Like, it's like a little store where you go in, but they serve drinks and stuff in there too. And a lot of the gold miners and locals hanging out in there and drink in there during the day. But, you know, she vanished from there, seen around all males. And so it is creepy. And especially, I don't think a woman is going to walk out into the snow and freezing temperatures like that and take her socks, shoes, and coat off. So something bad happened in this case, and I want to dig on it as well. There's a few other ones that I want to work on. I've been really shopping around, and some of these are now kind of coming out. I don't know why they're not releasing some of these as fast as they used to. In 2024, you used to really know about them in the day, but now it's like it's been missing a week, and then they finally talk about it. And that's tough. I think it needs to be spread a lot quicker. That's another form of awareness that needs to be spread faster. So anyway, guys, what you doing? But anyway, guys, we love y'all guys. We appreciate y'all guys. Remember, allegedly, these are my opinions, my thoughts, my theories, my speculations, not to reflect the channel. It's just my free speech. I'm all big alleged bubble. And trigger warning times 100 million. Y'all's comments, y'all's and y'all's alone, not to reflect the channel. We do our research together because we're a big-hearted family. But please, 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 if anybody knows anybody going through domestic violence, please call for them. Don't wait. Don't ask them. Call for them. Because that phone call could save someone's life. All right, guys. We'll talk to y'all after work. We'll see y'all tonight for fire chat. It'll be cold, but we're going to still do it. And we're gonna do a little more tonight. I got summer wells and a few other things I want to go over tonight. So we'll see y'all tonight, guys. Y'all be good, be safe. We love y'all, guys. We'll talk soon. Say right, Ruby. We gotta go back to work. All right, bye.